Welcome to our online math classroom, where math knowledge makes things easier. We're continuing our unit on statistics and probability, specifically Common Core Standard 6.SP.B.5, which is 6th grade statistics and probability, Common Core Standard B5. We're going to interpret a set of numerical data and describe patterns and deviations. Data analysis is really important in today's world. Employees have to understand and use data in many careers, and we use data to make choices as we buy products and make healthcare decisions. But in order to understand the assignment from this week, we have a new term called mean absolute deviation, or MAD. All that simply means is that we're going to take the average of a set of data. Let's do that first. We have all these numbers, we add them up. It's up to 495. To find the average or the mean, we divide the sum by the number of data items. So this is 495 divided by 15. So that's our mean. That's our average. But now we have to understand the mean absolute deviation, or MAD. All that means is the mean, which is the average, and the absolute deviation, the absolute value of the difference from that mean. How far each number is, how much it deviates from the mean. So we have our mean for this whole set of data, and we just want to now take an average of how far each one of these numbers is from that mean. That's all that MAD means, mean absolute deviation. Let's work an example. We have these numbers. We know that the average was 33. So we're going to look to see how far each one of these data items was from the mean, from the average. 0 is, of course, 33 away from 33. And each one of these, as it gets closer to 33, you see that the difference is less. Here, 30 is only 3 away from 33, but it's an absolute value. Notice it doesn't matter if the number is less than 33 or more than 33, the difference is still going to be positive. 50 is more, it's 17 more. 20 is less, it's 13 less. So we're just going to take the absolute value of each of these numbers. And now for the mean absolute deviation, we have how far each one of these deviates from the mean. And now we're going to take an average of those numbers. So here's these deviations added up. And we have 15 of these deviations. So 334 divided by 15. The average deviation is about 22.27. Now let's take a look at the guided instruction problem from our worksheet. This was our box and whisker plot. There's our box, there's our whiskers off to the side. It's also called a box plot. Can we determine the interquartile range here? If you remember from a previous video, the interquartile range is the middle two quarters. Right? Here's one quarter. That's the lower quartile. This is the upper quartile, so that's 25%. That's 25%. These middle quarters, that's our interquartile range. Do we have enough information to determine the interquartile range? Sure. We could tell the difference between 22 and 40. That box goes from that lower quartile to the upper quartile. That's 18, the interquartile range. Can we determine the MAD? Can we determine the mean absolute deviation? Well, one problem that we have is even if we only had 5 data items, we don't know exactly what that number is, and we don't know exactly what this number is, or what the extremes are, what the minimum number and the maximum number were. But it's also very possible that this was a set of data that was made up of several data items, and this just happens to be the median. And then we had the upper lower quartiles. We could have had 100 data items here. We just don't know. Even if it was just 5, like I said, we don't know the extremes, the lower number and the upper number. So we don't really have enough information to start determining what the average is. Because remember, this is the median. This isn't the average. We don't have enough information to find the average of all the numbers, nor do we know all of the numbers in order to find the absolute deviation. So we don't have enough information. So the actual guided instruction problem was just a multiple choice question. On this box plot, do we have enough information to determine that the mean absolute deviation is 6? Well, no. We don't know what the average is, so we certainly can't find the difference of each of these data items from that average. So it's not A. Is there enough information to determine the mean absolute deviation? No, there's not enough information to determine the mean absolute deviation, but the interquartile range, as we said, was between 22 and 40. That was 18. So that's our answer. So we've watched the video. Make sure that you use the answer form to record all of your answers from this week's worksheet. And if you have any questions, feel free to bring them to our Google Meet session. As long as the answer form is handed in this week on time, you'll get credit. And I look forward to seeing you at our next meeting. Till then, be safe and be well.